Imagine this. A person is raised in complete and total isolation. No parents, no society, no books, no language. Could that person, just by using their own mind, figure out the deepest truths of the universe and even the nature of God? Well, that's the incredible question at the heart of Hayy Ibn Yaqdhan, a philosophical story from the 12th century that people have been obsessed with for almost 900 years.
So yeah, this is the big one. This is the thought experiment that drives the whole story. It's such a bold question, isn't it? It basically puts pure human reason up against everything else we think we need. Society, scripture, even language. Could a single mind, just starting from absolute zero, figure it all out? It's really the ultimate test of nature versus nurture.
So who was the mind behind this incredible story? His name was Ibn Tufayl, and he was a true polymath of his time. We're talking a physician, an astronomer, and a philosopher all rolled into one, living in 12th century Andalusia. And to get his ideas across, he used a format that was pretty unique for his time. He wrote what we would now call a philosophical novel. See, instead of some dry, boring textbook, he wrapped all his complex arguments into a really compelling story. It makes these huge, abstract ideas feel personal and, honestly, unforgettable. And the story he tells, it is a wild ride.
Okay, so it all kicks off on this mythical equatorial island, the perfect place for life to begin, and this is where we meet our main character, Hayy. But right from the very beginning, Ibn Tufayl is already playing with our expectations about where this kid even came from. He actually gives us two different origin stories. In one version, Hayy is literally spontaneously generated from the earth itself, like a true child of nature. In the other, he's the secret baby of a princess who puts him in a chest and casts him out to sea to save him from a jealous king. A story that sounds a whole lot like the story of Moses, right? So whether he's a miracle of nature or a miracle of God, his journey starts completely alone.
So this infant is found by a doe that has just lost her own fawn, and she adopts him. She nurses him, protects him, and for years he just grows up among the animals, learning to mimic their calls. But then, around the age of 7, something big happens. He looks at the other animals, and then he looks at himself. And he realizes he's naked, he's slow, and he has no claws or horns. He's totally defenseless. And that realization, that's the spark. That's the birth of his reason. He starts to actually think, using his hands to make clothes out of leaves and a staff for protection. He's taking his very first steps, from just surviving to actually shaping his own world.
But Hay's real journey into philosophy, well, that's sparked by tragedy. His doe mother, the one who raised him, gets old and dies. He's just confused and heartbroken. He can't wrap his head around what left her body. And this one single event sets him on a path from the physical world to the metaphysical.
And his intellectual progress from here is just incredible. At age 7, he performs a dissection on his doe mother, trying to find what left her, and discovers the concept of a soul. By the time he's 21, he's taught himself physics. By 28, he's looking up at the stars and figuring out that the whole cosmos is one single connected system. And then finally, at age 35, through nothing but pure, relentless logic, he comes to a mind-blowing conclusion. He deduces that there has to be a single, uncaused first cause. A perfect, all-powerful, non-physical creator. I mean, think about that. It is a stunning triumph of pure reason. Starting with literally nothing but what he could see and touch, he reasoned his way to a universal, philosophical idea of God. For 50 years, 50, Hayy lives all alone, just contemplating this ultimate truth he's discovered. But then, for the first time in his entire life, a ship arrives, and his world of pure reason is about to smash right into the world of revealed religion. So, on a nearby island, you've got these two very religious friends, Absol and Salomon. But they see their faith in totally different ways. Salomon is a literalist. Follow the rules, stick with the community, do what you're told. But Absol, he's more of a mystic. He thinks the holy books have deeper, hidden meanings, and the only way to find them is through quiet contemplation. So, to find that quiet, he sails to what he thinks is a deserted island, which just so happens to be Hayy's Island. When Hayy and Absol finally meet, it's pretty scary for both of them. But as Absol slowly teaches Hayy language and Hayy begins to explain all his philosophical discoveries, they have this incredible realization. Absol starts telling him all about his religion, about prophets and heaven and hell. And as Hayy listens, everything just clicks. He realizes that all these religious stories are just perfect metaphors for the abstract philosophical truths he'd already figured out on his own.
He sees that the prophet was a true messenger, someone who could translate these deep truths into a language anyone could get. And for Absal, this is a total revelation. He realizes Hayy, who's never even seen a holy book, is one of the truly enlightened. They figure out that philosophy and religion, they aren't fighting. They're just two different roads leading to the exact same mountain peak.
So now they're totally convinced they've cracked the code, right? They think they've found the ultimate harmony between reason and revelation, and they feel like they have a duty to share this amazing wisdom. They decide to go back to Absal's home island and enlighten everybody.
Well, their mission is a complete disaster, a total failure. When they try to explain the deeper philosophical meanings behind all the religious laws, the people just get confused and then they get angry. They're perfectly happy with the literal stories and the rituals. They have zero interest in abstract philosophy. So Hayy and Absal are forced to face this really tough conclusion. Most people just aren't built for this kind of thinking. They need the simple structure of literal religion to keep society moral and orderly. So they apologize, tell everyone to just stick with what they're doing, and they sail back to the island to live out their days in peace.
And this leads us to Ibn Tufail's final and honestly pretty jarring conclusion. He's basically suggesting that while philosophy might be the path to the highest truth for a special few, for everybody else, the guidance of the prophets and the structure of organized religion aren't just helpful, they're absolutely necessary.
Now, despite that kind of downer ending for our heroes, the legacy of the story itself is absolutely immense. It echoed through the centuries, influencing thinkers all across the Islamic world and Europe.
Hayy Ibn Yaqdhan got translated into a ton of languages and became a huge hit with Enlightenment thinkers. Its core idea, a man all alone, using his reason to survive and figure out the world, became a foundational concept. In fact, it's considered a direct literary ancestor to one of the most famous novels ever written, Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe, which came out over 500 years later. And so, the story leaves us with this really challenging question. Is Ibn Tufail right? Are there different kinds of truth for different kinds of people? Is the highest level of understanding something that can't or maybe even shouldn't be shared with everyone? It's a provocative thought, and it's what makes Hayy Ibn Yaqdhan a story that still gets under your skin centuries after it was first told.